throughout those different things, you can see where gratitude has been made into something that we've mentalized and forced people to do in order to just accept your lot, because there's poor kids that are starving, instead of actually speaking up and saying this is not okay. So colonization was in a lot of senses was the start of that. It's also misplaced people from land. It's disconnected people from land, disconnected people from themselves, disconnected people from each other. So we've disconnected from the web of life, okay? And disconnecting from the web of life is where we've actually mentalized gratitude and not felt or fully felt gratitude anymore, from what I've seen for a lot of times.
Welcome to the Wildflower Diaries Show, where we have meaningful conversations and contemplations to bring you back to life. I'm Beth, your host and guide, to help you along your healing journey and to really start living life fully. We have forgotten that we are the builders, creators, weavers, lovers, visionaries and dreamers. Through these discussions, learn and implement practices to remember and reconnect to all of who you are. Your body, intuition, power, heart, voice, mind and magic are ready to be reclaimed so that you can make ripple effects of change that you know deep down you are made for. Let's get started with this week's episode.
Hi, welcome to the next episode of the Wildflower Diaries Show. And today I am speaking about reclaiming true gratitude. Okay, and this is something I wanted to speak about for a while now, but just trying to find the courage for it because we've been deeply conditioned around gratitude. So just for disclaimer that some of the things I might say today, you might disagree with, which is okay. Some of the things I might say today will probably be triggering. So also to sit with that and ask yourself why it's triggering for you, because we have been deeply conditioned around gratitude. And it's something I feel quite strongly about speaking up about, so we can starting to feel and reclaim true gratitude, which is a completely different feeling to it's an actual feeling compared to this mental force gratitude that has kind of been used, I believe, weaponized throughout the years, throughout the centuries, really. So let's get into it. So disclaimer done, let's get in. So why do I feel like it's important to speak about this? So the reason this kind of was something I decided I really wanted to start speaking about is you often will find in Facebook groups, you're part of quite a few of these mommy groups, and I find them very interesting as well, just also to see like what people are experiencing and going through, because we're all experiencing different things, and there's crossovers, and we can see each other in each other. And one thing that stood out for me was someone saying that they were having some issues with their work, and that she wanted to speak up about it or say something, but she realizes she needs to be grateful that she has a job, and that other people don't have work. Okay. And I found it very interesting that there's a lot of stuff that comes out about gratitude around what we have compared to someone else. And living in a country like South Africa, where we've had a lot of trauma in our past, and we also have a high unemployment rate. We have a lot of issues that are still legacy issues from everything that's happened in our country. I do find that gratitude is something that has been weaponized and used to keep people from speaking up about situations. And I know that for some people to speak up compared to other people to speak up, is difficult, which is why I'm voicing this, to try and help people see for themselves where this could potentially have been used against them, and to speak up for other people that we need to stop doing this. We need to stop making people have to go through difficult circumstances because they should just be grateful for what they have, when what was been offered is not okay. It's oppressive and it's not okay. So that's why I want to speak about this and how it came about. Okay, so firstly, how did this gratitude get weaponized? And I see that quite a lot in sort of looking back in history. Being a healer, I like to think of myself a little bit as a time traveler. So going back into people's past and helping them deal with that and move forward. And also going back into my own past for my own healing journey. But also a lot of my healing has been ancestral healing, which has been, and I do the same with clients. And a lot of times you start to see history and you see timelines for what they actually were and not what we've been sold and told in our history books. And I think a lot of things that happened with colonization, for example, what was done is it was almost like these people need to be grateful that we came here and civilized the place, and we made roads and we did this and we did that. And the imperialism was one arm of that. Then we had the church that was involved as an institution, and religion that was involved in that. And now in the modern age, I also see the same thing with the new age, which is often this manifestation stuff that has come up now, where gratitude is a big part of. Where throughout those different things, you can see where gratitude has been made into something that we've mentalized and forced people to do in order to just accept your lot, because there's poor kids that are starving, instead of actually speaking up and saying this is not okay. So colonization was in a lot of senses was the start of that. It's also misplaced people from land. It's disconnected people from land, disconnected people from themselves, disconnected people from each other. So we've disconnected from the web of life. Okay, and disconnecting from the web of life is where we've actually mentalized gratitude and not felt or fully felt gratitude anymore, from what I've seen for a lot of times. You then, after looking at colonization, there was obviously the religious aspect of gratitude, where it's again just being like, be grateful that other people have it worse off, and yes, we do need to be grateful in some senses that we have what we have, yeah. But gratitude is not linked to material things. Actually, the true feeling of gratitude is completely unrelated to material things. It's just also being part of capitalism and making people buy stuff that we often have this this feeling of like that we must be grateful because of things like and versus this person has that and this person doesn't. But we're not then looking at the underlying issues of why does someone have this and someone else doesn't, So there's a lot of deeper healing that needs to happen as to why someone will have that and why someone else does not. So those two arms have caused certain ways where I've seen it being weaponized. And then you've got this new age manifestation where everyone's like, the secret, and it's grown from there, and it's become a big part of like making money and getting things again, where it's got a lot to do with you have to feel grateful and you have to feel appreciative, and then you'll manifest your dream life. And that has kept so many people absolutely trapped, because now all of a sudden I need to pretend I feel something because I'm mentalizing it, and I need to just all of a sudden feel this feeling, and then all of a sudden things will just automatically come to me because that's the secret. And there's some truth in a lot of this tough. Like, that's why I'm saying it's not that we must not be grateful because you have something and someone else doesn't, or we mustn't be grateful because it's going to help you attract more to yourself. I think it's just how it's been sold and how it's been spoken about that we need to be careful of, and know that it's actually being used as a trap to keep you worrying about how much am I going to make, what is going to happen here, and then we don't have the capacity to actually ask the bigger questions about what's happening around us and why it's happening. So I found New Age spirituality has been really big at keeping people really trapped, because it also tells us to turn a blind eye to what is happening in the world and just feel certain feelings that feel good. And if it's low vibe, we must now not feel it, because then we're not going to attract what we need for ourselves, which for me, I'm telling you honestly, is a load of rubbish, because at the end of the day, like, sometimes you will manifest things in your lowest points of your life, and it's got nothing to do with the actual bypassing things. It's got to do with actually facing things and actually admitting I feel certain ways, and healing from that brings around a feeling of gratitude that then can be a feeling and not just a mental construct of, oh, okay, if I'm just grateful, I'll get my dream life, you know. So it's definitely how these things have been sold and spoken about that are so surface level that we all feel like we're doing it wrong and that we don't know. And then you just give up, you know, and you just accept your lot. You keep quiet and you stay in situations where you're actually being oppressed, and people are not standing up and saying anything about it, you know, because we must just accept our lot and move on, you know. And it's used in a big way now in countries and in jobs, in keeping people stuck in jobs where they're not being paid enough, where they are being treated poorly, where they're being worked till burnout, because you should just be grateful that you have this job, you know. Whereas actually it's exploitation, and at some point we've got to actually stand up and say something. And it's, like I say, easier for some people to do it compared to others. So this is like my problem with gratitude, and this forced mental gratitude that I see a lot of times. So how do we go about actually changing this and start reclaiming true gratitude? What is true gratitude? So I wanted to speak a bit about that. What I found is it's not about what you have compared to other people that brings about gratitude. The closer you get to the web of life, to life itself, to the people around you, to yourself, to a higher power, if that's what you believe in, but really in a healed way, the more grateful you actually feel within yourself. I feel like gratitude's a byproduct often of healing, of letting go of the traumas, of reconnecting to yourself, of reconnecting to the people around you, of reconnecting to the land, of reconnecting to a higher power. Then you actually start to feel this feeling of appreciation for life, which for me personally, when you look at what life is, there's a force that is running through all of it. Everyone has a different name for that force, but there is a force running through all of life. You see it in the wind, you see it in the breeze, and those are the things, the small things we often are not able to see and feel because we've been disconnected from it. And it's been done purposefully, because the more that we are holding up the system and not speaking up and speaking back, the more it works for a very small minority of people in the world. Yeah. So what I see when it comes to reclaiming, like I said, is like it really comes through from healing, okay, and letting go of this belief that we've all collectively made that life is tough. And I know this is going to be hard for some people to swallow, but I hear myself say it, so it's so deeply ingrained in us that life is tough, it's hard, it's difficult, and you've just got to get on with it, and it will be hard at times. And I'm not saying that there is not difficult times, but life itself is not tough. Life, the force that is life, is not tough. Yeah, the force that is running through everything is not difficult. what we collectively as human beings have made of the world and of life through everything that's happened and everything we've created has made what we say life is tough. Yeah. So maybe life is just neutral. Maybe life is just neutral, and we've made the meaning and put the meaning onto it that it's tough. And the more we believe that it's tough, the harder it continues to be. Yeah. So this collective belief has come through from our actions, anti-life forces that are trying to disconnect us from life, have made us feel that this is this difficult, tough thing that we have to endure, and that it's terrible. And then you'll eventually get your peace one day when you go to heaven, or you go whatever you believe to be true from whatever you've been taught or believe spiritually, And I think that is partly why we struggle with actually feeling grateful, because we feel like it's tough, it's hard. And it's difficult to be grateful when things feel so hard. Like, to actually feel gratitude when things feel so hard is not that easy to do. And that's why people are like, oh, I should just be grateful. But do you actually feel it? And that's the question. Yeah. So maybe life is just neutral, and we've made the meaning of it that it's tough. And that's something I really feel we need to consider when it comes to really reclaiming true gratitude, is that knowing that life itself is neutral, and that we place meaning on what happens to us. Yeah. And that at some point we've also got to start seeing that the our force is also working for us and with us. And if we start to connect to that and connect to that through ourselves, it's much easier to feel grateful and feel gratitude, because we are working with something that is benevolent than working with this toughness that life actually is. Yeah. I'm going to let you sit with that because some people will reject that straight away. So that's okay. The other thing that I really feel we need to do is look at our ancestral pain. Yeah. And that it means that all of us have to look at what's happened through our lineages and start to heal from that. Because I find a lot of what disconnects us from true gratitude is the pain that our ancestors have been through. And, coming from a white woman, I obviously have had privileges because of the fact that I'm white, and there has been colonization that's given me certain things that other people do not have, and I've had to actually sit with that. I've had to also heal the ancestors that I know have done things that were not great. My ancestors have been through wars. There's been world wars. There's been a lot of trauma that's created what has happened to us, and that's disconnected us from life, because war does not connect you to life. War completely takes us away from life. And then the opposite is for people who have actually been disconnected from life by other people doing that to them. We have to heal from that, because to just pretend it didn't happen and we must all move on, unfortunately, we're not going to get past where we are unless we actually start to accept what's happened in the world and start to heal from it. So I really feel that this ancestral pain disconnected people specifically very much from the land, and it means that people have been moved all over the world to different places where they didn't come from, and we're now all dispersed, and how colonization also worked was it disconnected people from their spiritual beliefs, it disconnected people from their from the land that they were working on, that they had a connection to. And I really believe like that is part of why we also still have this false gratitude and not true gratitude, because that connection that we've had to the land, we're all part of this big ecosystem and we're all connected. And I think the more that we start to realize that, we're able to look at the fact that reconnecting to land, reconnecting to place, reconnecting to your roots is really part of finding true gratitude again, because you then reconnect to the web of life, which is connected to higher power, whatever you believe that is, And it brings you back to a feeling of true gratitude of, I'm part of all of this. I'm one with all of this. I'm bringing something to all of this, And so I really believe that ancestral healing is so needed and necessary. And if you don't want to call it ancestral healing, intergenerational trauma, epigenetics, whatever resonates with you, there's proof that is a thing. It's real, and it's within all of us. It's in our DNA, it's in our blood, and there is healing that needs to be done. And there's many people that have been through, they have both the oppressed and the oppressor, like within their lineages, and that in itself can cause a lot of inner conflict. So it's looking at both, and just and it can be difficult because for us to now all go back and try and trace our whole roots is difficult, but there are healers that can assist you with that and help you see where your lineage needs help healing and what have you. That is becoming the next step of what our healing needs to really look like. And some people won't really understand it and agree with it, and that's okay. But from my personal journey and the journey of helping my clients heal, not everything you are experiencing and holding and feeling right now is your own. It is really coming through our DNA, and it's very much needed that we heal from this so that we can actually reconnect to life, reconnect to each other, and actually start to reclaim this true feeling of gratitude for each other and for just life itself. So the other part of this is really looking at the small things. So not actually things. I mean, what true gratitude is really linked to is looking at the sunrise, a beautiful sunrise, singing, dancing, the breeze. Like it's those things that really bring about that feeling. You could have everything you want in the world and you will still not feel grateful or feel like fulfilled or feel truly like I'm whole. You could have all of that and it will not bring you wholeness. And I think many people speak about this. You could have it all and not have wholeness. But the person who is living literally close to the land and close to life has wholeness and feels gratitude, because it's not about stuff. It's really not about things. True gratitude is in the small things that are there for us, that have always been there for us, that we've forgotten about and that we need to reclaim. And we need to find like pleasure again in putting our feet in the sand, in the grass, and feeling the breeze through our hair. And unfortunately, I know that not everyone has the space to be able to do that, because that we're still stuck in systems of oppression, and that is why the people who have the capacity to start working up and against these systems need to take that responsibility on now, because we are in a situation where some people have more space to be able to fight than other people, and how are we going to stand up? It's usually because we need to heal ourselves first and be able to say, I've got the space for it now. And after that, how do I take the hand of the person next to me? And I speak about this a lot because it's so, so important. It's not, our healing is not just for us. Our healing is for the collective. It's for everyone. So the more you are able to heal yourself, and not just so you can manifest your best life, just heal yourself so that you can live your purpose and help the people next to you. Because if you want to heal and you into the ancestral healing, there's usually a deeper purpose to it. It's not just because I'm going to do this so that I can be my best self. Yes, it's great to be your best self, but it's not about just that. It's about so much more than that. And it's about learning how to stand up for other people and you can't do that unless you've learned how to stand up for yourself. And I really believe like that is the starting point to true gratitude, is really learning to be like, okay, we have been fooled and we need to open our eyes to it. And we need to realize that we're being forced to stay in really terrible situations sometimes because we should just be grateful. And the more you can see that for yourself, the more you're able to be like, this isn't okay. We've got to make a collective stand for better for everyone. And that is a responsibility that not everyone's willing to take on, but it is a responsibility that is necessary. And it takes courage, and it takes being okay with sometimes not everyone accepting or agreeing with what you have to say. But it is something that has to happen now for us to really start to reconnect all of us to this web of life, to love, to each other, so that we can actually really feel what it feels like to be truly grateful. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it there. And if you have any questions or you want to have a deeper conversations about this, I'd love to hear from you. I'm willing to also interview anyone who wants to talk about this, because it's necessary conversations that need to be had. And let me know what you think. Thank you. Bye.